Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls.
Hey Rebels, this is Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls, The Interview. I'm your host, Camille Stennis, the audio producer and sound designer for Rebel Girls. And today we're talking to a special guest, Christine Platt. She's an advocate and storyteller who has written a couple of books that introduces readers to Harriet Tubman. If you haven't heard our episode on Harriet Tubman, make sure to check that out and come right back. Hey, Christine, thank you for joining me. Can you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
I am Christine Platt. I currently serve as the managing director of the Anti-Racist Research and Policy Center at American University, and I am also a historian by trade.
Can you tell us more about what a historian is and does?
Historians are really cool people who study history and different aspects and areas of history. So we collect research on different periods in time. We learn about people who were influential during that time and tell some of their stories. It's a really, really fun aspect of my job.
So you've written a couple of books about Harriet Tubman. What is it about her amazing story that made you want to share it with the world?
You know, I love Harriet's story so much because I think when we think about that period of time and how just almost like extra brave that you had to be to do some of the things that she did. She was a rebel girl since she was a young girl, right? Since she was like a little girl. And so I just love, I love writing about her because I get to tell so many more parts of her life story than just the Underground Railroad sort of experience of her story.
There are so many parts of Harriet's story that are lesser known but super important. As someone who has studied her life and her impact on the world, is there something that stands out for you?
One of the things that has recently been discovered about Harriet Tubman is when she was a little girl, she, obviously was not entitled to receive some of the wonderful things that other children who were not enslaved were able to receive. And one of those things was an apple. One time, she decided the temptation was just too great, and she took an apple, and she got in a lot of trouble. And when she grew up, one of the first things that she did was plant an apple tree in her yard. She was also known to keep a bowl of apples on her table to reclaim that part of her narrative.
So Harriet might replace Andrew Jackson on the $20 bill. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I think it's powerful. I think it would be amazing. I mean, I think as we move towards, more representation and really understanding the legacy that more than just the founding fathers played on American history and culture, I think it's so important. And I think it's going to be so powerful for so many people, not just the Black community, but I think all communities, to see that representation and then also wanting to know more about her story.
And finally, Christine, there are a lot of things, but in your mind, what made Harriet a true rebel girl?
I think just the fact that she was always true to herself and her commitment to bring about change, right? And I can only imagine some of the opposition and pushback that she received during that time, but she never let any of that deter her or keep her from her dreams. I mean, imagine freeing yourself and then saying, you know what, I'm going to go back and get my family members. And how many people must have said, are you crazy? Do you know how dangerous it is to go back? Like, what are you going to do? Even the fact that her and her brother initially were supposed to escape together. They set out together and he became afraid and was like, we have to go back. This is what are we doing? And she made sure he made it back safely. The true rebel girl in her stayed true to her goals and what she wanted to achieve, despite all of the opposition and I'm sure negativity that she may have heard. And so that's what makes her a true rebel girl to me.
Thanks, Christine. And thank you for listening. If you like the show, leave a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen, and share it with all of your friends. Catch you next time and stay Rebel.